General Hospital, Rick's explosive revenge when the captive becomes the captor. In a shocking turn of events that has left Port Charles reeling, Rick Lansing's captivity has reached its dramatic conclusion with consequences that will forever change the lives of 3 women who dared to cross him. After being held prisoner in Alexis Davis's basement for days by Alexis, her daughter Christina Corinthos Davis, and the calculating Ava Jerome, Rick has finally escaped, and his thirst for revenge burns hotter than ever. The breaking point, Rick's desperate escape. The basement of Alexis Davis's home had become Rick Lansing's prison cell, a place where the once powerful attorney found himself chained and helpless. But Rick's determination and cunning legal mind refused to be broken by his captors. For days, he endured the humiliation of being drugged, restrained, and silenced by the very women who once claimed to care about him. The irony wasn't lost on longtime General Hospital viewers. Rick, who had once held pregnant Carly Corinthos captive in a soundproof panic room decades earlier, was now experiencing the terror and helplessness he had once inflicted on others. But unlike his previous victims, Rick possessed both the legal expertise and the burning desire for justice that would fuel his escape. Through sheer force of will and perhaps a moment of carelessness from his captors, Rick managed to break free from his restraints. The sound of chains hitting the basement floor marked the beginning of what would become one of Port Charles's most explosive revenge stories. His body may have been weakened by days of captivity, but his mind remained razor-sharp, already calculating his next moves. The confrontation, Alexis alone and vulnerable. When Rick finally emerged from the basement, fate delivered him the perfect opportunity for revenge. Alexis Davis, the woman who had once been his wife and the mother of his beloved daughter Molly, was alone in the house. Christina and Ava were nowhere to be found, leaving Alexis defensively exposed to the wrath of the man she had helped imprison. The confrontation was swift and decisive. Years of legal battles, personal betrayals, and now this ultimate violation of his freedom had pushed Rick beyond his breaking point. Without hesitation, he struck Alexis unconscious, rendering her as helpless as he had been just moments before. The former district attorney's body crumpled to the floor, leaving Rick standing over her with a mixture of satisfaction and cold determination. In that moment, Rick wasn't just seeking revenge, he was reclaiming his power. The attorney who had spent his career manipulating the legal system to his advantage was about to use every tool at his disposal to ensure justice would be served, Lansing style. The tables turn, Rick seizes control. With Alexis unconscious at his feet, Rick moved quickly to execute his plan. He grabbed Alexis's phone, his fingers moving with practiced precision as he dialed the Port Charles Police Department. This wasn't a desperate cry for help, this was a calculated legal maneuver, designed to maximize the damage to his captors while positioning himself as the victim. "This is Rick Lansing." He spoke into the phone with the measured tone of a man who understood exactly how to present his case. "I need to report a kidnapping. I've been held captive for several days by 3 women, Alexis Davis, Christina Corinthos Davis, and Ava Jerome. I've just managed to escape, and I need immediate police assistance." The call was a masterpiece of legal strategy. By reporting all 3 women, Rick ensured that the full weight of the law would come down on his captors. He didn't mention his retaliation against Alexis that would be explained as necessary self-defense. After his traumatic captivity experience, Anna's swift response, "Justice comes knocking." Police Commissioner Anna Devane received the call with the seriousness it deserved. A prominent attorney being held captive by 3 women, including a former district attorney, was not just a crime, it was a scandal that would rock Port Charles to its core. Anna immediately dispatched units to arrest all 3 suspects, understanding that the political and legal ramifications of this case would be enormous. The arrests were swift and dramatic. Christina Corinthos Davis, already struggling with mental health issues following the loss of the baby she was carrying as a surrogate, was taken into custody in a state of shock. The young woman, who had initially been driven by grief and anger over her baby's death, now found herself facing serious criminal charges that could result in years behind bars. Ava Jerome, the sophisticated gallery owner with a history of criminal behavior, was apprehended with her characteristic defiance intact. But even Ava's experience with the legal system couldn't prepare her for the severity of the charges she was about to face. Kidnapping an attorney, especially one as connected and vindictive as Rick Lansing, was far more serious than her previous legal troubles. Rick's promise, a reckoning for Ava. When Rick finally came face to face with Ava Jerome in police custody, the moment crackled with tension and barely contained fury. This was the woman who had struck him unconscious with a decorative object, initiating the chain of events that led to his captivity. This was also the woman who had betrayed their blackmail partnership and attempted to cut him out of their illegal scheme. "You're going to prison for a very long time, Ava," Rick declared with the cold certainty of a man who understood exactly how the legal system worked. "What you did to kidnapping, false imprisonment, assault, these aren't charges that disappear with a good lawyer and a sympathetic judge. You're looking at serious prison time, and I'm going to make sure you serve every single day." Ava's fear was palpable. She had tangled with dangerous people before, but Rick Lansing represented a different kind of threat. This wasn't a mob boss who might have her killed. This was a legal expert who could systematically destroy her life through the courts. Rick's reputation for being someone who says what he means and does what he says made his threat all the more terrifying. The gallery owner, who had once seemed untouchable, now faced the very real possibility of spending years behind bars, separated from her daughter Avery and everything she had worked to build in Port Charles. The unraveling, different fates for different players. As the legal proceedings unfolded, the three women's fates began to diverge in ways that highlighted both their different levels of culpability and their varying relationships with Rick. The district attorney's office, eager to prosecute such a high-profile case, began to examine the evidence and circumstances surrounding each woman's involvement. For Alexis Davis, her role as an accomplice rather than an instigator worked in her favor. Her established relationship with Rick as his ex-wife and co-parent to Molly, combined with her previously clean legal record, suggested that she might be able to negotiate a plea deal. The fact that she had been manipulated by both Christina's emotional state and Ava's criminal influence provided additional mitigation. Christina's situation was more complex. Her recent trauma from losing the baby, combined with her history of mental health struggles, created a compelling case for diminished capacity. Her family's influence, particularly her father's Sonny Corinthus's connections, would likely be mobilized to secure the best possible legal representation and potentially push for treatment rather than incarceration. But Ava Jerome faced the harshest reality. As the instigator who had actually struck Rick unconscious and the mastermind behind the captivity scheme, she bore the greatest legal responsibility. Her criminal history, including previous charges and her reputation in Port Charles, made her the least sympathetic defendant. Worse still, her direct assault on Rick provided the clearest evidence of violent criminal behavior. The legal machine in motion. Rick's return to freedom marked the beginning of a legal campaign that would showcase his skills as one of Port Charles's most formidable attorneys. No longer content to work behind the scenes or engage in backroom deals, Rick was prepared to use every legal weapon at his disposal to ensure his captors faced the full consequences of their actions. The charges were serious and numerous: kidnapping, false imprisonment, assault, conspiracy, and potentially additional counts related to the financial crimes that had precipitated the entire conflict. Each charge carried significant prison time, and Rick's meticulous documentation of his captivity would provide prosecutors with compelling evidence. More importantly, Rick's status as both victim and legal expert meant that he could simultaneously pursue criminal charges through the district attorney's office while preparing civil lawsuits that could financially devastate his captors. The combination of criminal and civil liability created a legal nightmare that would haunt Alexis, Christina, and Ava for years to come. The aftermath. Port Charles reacts. News of Rick Lansing's captivity and dramatic escape sent shockwaves through Port Charles. The idea that three women, including a former district attorney and the daughter of mob boss Sonny Corinthus, had conspired to kidnap and imprison a prominent lawyer, challenged the community's understanding of justice and power. For the Corinthus family, Christina's arrest represented another crisis in a series of traumatic events. Sonny found himself once again trying to protect his daughter from the consequences of her actions, while simultaneously dealing with the legal and political fallout from her involvement in such a serious crime. The Davis family faced their own reckoning, with Molly discovering that her father had been held captive in her own home. The revelation that her mother and sister had participated in such a scheme created family tensions that would take years to heal. As for Ava Jerome, her arrest marked what many saw as the inevitable consequence of years of criminal behavior finally catching up with her. The sophisticated gallery owner, who had managed to avoid serious prison time for numerous crimes, now faced the very real possibility of spending the rest of her prime years behind bars. The captivity and escape of Rick Lansing would be remembered as one of General Hospital's most dramatic storylines, a tale of revenge, justice, and the dangerous consequences of underestimating a man whose greatest weapon isn't violence, but his intimate knowledge of how to make the legal system work in his favor. In Port Charles, where secrets and schemes are currency, Rick Lansing had just proven that sometimes the most devastating revenge is served through the courts. Next, we will learn about the intriguing possibility that Drew Kane could soon take over the iconic Quartermaine mansion through a clever purchase from the mysterious Veronica Ronnie Bard. Following the dramatic reading of Monica Quartermaine's will, the Quartermaine family is bracing for a whirlwind of surprises as Monica's final wishes are revealed, potentially reshaping the dynamics of their sprawling estate in Port Charles. Tracy Quartermaine, known for her sharp tongue and unyielding grip on family matters, might find herself utterly stunned when the inheritance details come to light. Instead of the expected distribution among blood relatives, whispers suggest that Ronnie, a figure from Monica's past with hidden connections, could emerge as the unexpected beneficiary of the grand residence. This twist adds layers of tension, especially considering Ronnie's recent arrival in town, which has already stirred up old rivalries and unearthed forgotten secrets. Imagine the scene: the family gathered in the opulent living room, legal documents spread out, and a collective gasp as the lawyer announces Ronnie's name tied to the property deeds. It's the kind of bombshell that could fracture alliances and ignite new feuds, all while highlighting Monica's penchant for unconventional decisions that reflect her complex relationships over the years. Ronnie's demeanor has been particularly telling, exuding a confident smugness that hints at insider knowledge about the will's contents. During a tense encounter, she subtly implied that Tracy's assumptions about her entitlements might be wildly off base, perhaps alluding to clauses that favor outsiders over traditional heirs. This isn't just casual banter. Ronnie's words carry the weight of someone who has been privy to Monica's private thoughts, maybe through late-night conversations or confidential letters that detailed Monica's regrets and desires for posthumous justice. Adding to the intrigue, Ronnie might have shared stories from their shared history, like adventures in distant cities or mutual friends from Monica's medical career, which could explain why Monica chose to entrust such a significant asset to her. The air of certainty in Ronnie's eyes suggests she's not bluffing, and this could force Tracy to confront her own role in past family dramas, including overlooked slights that Monica never fully forgave. Complicating matters further is the discovery of a peculiar letter from Ronnie to Monica, stumbled upon by Martin Gray in an unlikely spot Drew's home. The note, partially obscured by childish crayon scribbles, appeared innocuous at first glance, but its presence raises eyebrows about hidden communications between the two women. Drew, ever the picture of innocence in this scenario, dismissed it as nothing more than discarded paper that his kids had pilfered from the Quartermaine mansion during a family visit, using it for their impromptu art sessions. Yet, one can't help but wonder if there's more to this artifact. Perhaps it contained coded messages or emotional pleas that influenced Monica's final testament. Martin, with his keen legal mind and a history of navigating Port Charles' underbelly, pocketed the letter, his expression betraying a mix of curiosity and calculation. This find could be the key to unlocking the will's secrets, especially if it reveals Ronnie's deep emotional bond with Monica, forged during trying times like hospital crises or personal losses, that bonded them beyond mere acquaintance. Martin's motivations run deep, fueled by a burning vow to exact revenge on Tracy for her meddling in his affairs. His recent actions point to a meticulously crafted plan, including a cryptic phone call that seemingly pulled Ronnie into the fray. Right after Monica's passing, it's becoming crystal clear that Martin and Ronnie are allies in the scheme, perhaps collaborating on forging or interpreting the will in a way that secures the mansion for her. Picture Martin in his dimly lit office, poring over documents late into the night, enlisting Ronnie's help to insert subtle alterations that align with Monica's known eccentricities. Their partnership might stem from shared grievances against the Quartermaines, with Ronnie bringing personal anecdotes about Monica's frustrations with family greed, and Martin providing the legal loopholes to make it stick. This duo's machinations could temporarily upend the family's power structure, leaving Tracy scrambling to challenge the validity of the inheritance in court, all while uncovering layers of deception that trace back to Martin's grudge. However, Ronnie's time in the spotlight may be fleeting, as actress Erica Slezak's portrayal is slated for a short stint on General Hospital, suggesting her character's arc won't drag on indefinitely. This brevity opens the door for quick resolutions, where Ronnie's hold on the Quartermaine estate proves temporary. Instead of a drawn-out legal battle, Ronnie might opt for a swift exit strategy, cashing in on her windfall by selling the property to the highest bidder. Enter Drew Kane, whose recent humiliations at the hands of the Quartermaines being barred from the estate grounds and even excluded from Monica's funeral have left him seething with resentment. These slights, compounded by whispers of betrayal from family members he once trusted, could fuel Drew's determination to reclaim his place in a spectacular fashion. Inventing a new layer to this plot, perhaps Drew stumbles upon Ronnie at a local cafe, overhearing her complaints about the mansion's upkeep, and seizes the moment to propose a lucrative deal that aligns with her dreams of a quieter life. Drew's potential acquisition of the mansion would serve as the ultimate act of retribution, allowing him to lord over the very space that rejected him. Envision Drew striding through the grand halls, evicting those who crossed him with a satisfied grin, transforming the estate into a symbol of his resilience. He might even renovate sections to erase traces of old Quartermaine dominance, adding modern touches like a state-of-the-art home office or a serene garden dedicated to his own lost loved ones. Ronnie, in turn, could pocket a fortune from the sale, jetting off to a sun-drenched paradise like a secluded villa in the Caribbean, where she sips cocktails and reflects on her brief but impactful foray into Port Charles drama. This transaction wouldn't just be about real estate, it could symbolize Drew's ascent, positioning him as the new patriarch who rewrites the rules. Next, we will learn about the astonishing return of Nathan West from the grave, shaking up Maxie Jones's world as she lies in a coma, and forcing her to confront a heart-wrenching choice between her past love and her current stability. In the midst of Maxie's fragile state, comatose and recovering from a severe health scare, the shocking revelation hits Port Charles like a thunderbolt. Her late husband, Nathan West, has miraculously resurfaced, defying death itself. This twist throws the entire Jones-West family into disarray, as Nathan's unexpected revival disrupts the harmonious blended household Maxie has built with Damian Spinelli over the years. Picture the cozy home filled with laughter from their children, young James West, who carries Nathan's legacy in his bright eyes and curious nature, Georgie Spinelli, with her inventive spirit echoing her father's tech-savvy ways, and little Bailey Louise Jones, the bundle of energy who ties them all together. Nathan's return isn't just a personal earthquake, it ripples through their daily routines, from shared family dinners featuring Max's favorite homemade pasta recipes to bedtime stories, where Spinelli's quirky tales have become a cherished ritual. Adding a fresh layer to this drama, perhaps Nathan arrives bearing subtle clues from his lost years, like a faded photograph or a mysterious amulet that hints at adventures in hidden corners of the world, making his comeback feel even more surreal and laden with unanswered questions. Legally speaking, Nathan's undad status means he's still bound to Maxie as her husband, a technicality that could unravel the life she's carefully woven with Spinelli. Throughout his childhood, James has grown up viewing Spinelli as the steadfast dad, who taught him how to code simple games on the computer and cheered at his soccer matches. Under the sunny Port Charles skies, Felicia Scorpio, Maxie's ever-supportive mother with her own history of dramatic turns, strongly advocates for James to connect with his biological father, emphasizing the irreplaceable bond of blood and the milestones Nathan has missed, such as James's first steps or his kindergarten graduation ceremony complete with a handmade crown. Nathan himself grapples with a void in his memory, unable to recall the 7 years since his supposed demise, yet vivid flashes persist like the moment he learned of Maxie's pregnancy, just before Caesar Faison's fatal shot echoed through their lives, inventing a poignant new element. Maybe Nathan experiences fleeting dreams of ultrasound images and Maxie's glowing smile during her pregnancy, pulling at his heartstrings and fueling his desire to reclaim the family time stolen from him. These resurfacing memories pack an emotional punch, reminding everyone of the legendary romance between Maxie and Nathan, a saga of passion and peril that has captivated fans for seasons. Their love story unfolded like a classic fairy tale twisted with soap opera flair. From stolen kisses in hospital corridors to vows exchanged amid threats from villains like Faison, creating a bond that time and tragedy couldn't fully erase. In contrast, Maxie and Spinelli share a sweet, understated connection built on mutual respect and everyday joys, but whispers among viewers question if it truly rivals the fiery intensity of Maxie. Spinelli, with his endearing awkwardness and unwavering loyalty, harbors a deep-seated fear of losing Maxie to this ghost from her past, perhaps confiding in close friends about sleepless nights spent replaying their happiest moments, like picnics in the park where he first confessed his feelings. The fanbase remains divided, with online forums buzzing about loyalty versus destiny. Some rooting for the epic reunion while others cherish the quirky charm of Spixie, debating late into the night over character arcs and what-ifs. Spinelli's devotion to his beloved Maximista shines through in every gesture, from customizing gadgets to make her life easier to planning surprise date nights, with candlelit dinners featuring her favorite Italian wines. Yet, the veil of mystery surrounding Nathan's whereabouts during his absence looms large, leaving Port Charles residents and viewers hungry for details on how he survived. Anna Devane, the seasoned spy with her web of international contacts, suspects a tangled link between Nathan's death and that of his sister Britt Westburn, possibly orchestrated by the supposedly deceased Caesar Phazon, whose shadow still haunts the town like a persistent fog. Delving into speculative territory, Nathan's revival might tie into a covert WSB operation involving experimental revival tech, hidden in underground labs, or even Professor Henry Dalton's controversial research on memory manipulation and human resilience, where test subjects like Nathan were kept in induced comas for years. This connection could introduce thrilling new plot threads, such as encrypted files and uncovers, revealing Phazon's survival in a remote facility, plotting his next move against old enemies. Many loyal watchers adore the warm, unconventional family unit Maxie and Spinelli have nurtured, dreading the heartbreak that could shatter it if Maxie gravitates back to Nathan. Spinelli had been meticulously preparing a romantic proposal, perhaps with a custom ring engraved with binary codes symbolizing their unique love, only for Nathan's return to put those plans on ice. Meanwhile, in real life, actress Kirsten Storms is navigating her own changes, settling into a new chapter in Tennessee with her daughter Harper Rose, adapting to fresh surroundings like exploring local parks and enrolling in community classes, which might infuse her portrayal of Maxie with renewed depth upon her return to the set, adding an inventive touch. Perhaps Storms draws from her relocation experiences to portray Maxie's coma dreams as vivid visions of alternate lives in different cities, blending reality with fiction. As Maxie emerges from her coma, the spotlight will intensify on her pivotal decision: which partner will claim her future. Carly Spencer, ever the meddlesome friend, might draw parallels to her own romantic entanglements, bonding with Maxie over shared experiences of love lost and found in unexpected ways. Nathan's death left Maxie shattered, with that gut-wrenching hospital scene watching his vital signs flatline, as tears streamed down her face, still etched in fans' memories as one of the show's most poignant moments. Yet, Spinelli has emerged as her rock, stepping up during crises like her heart attack by organizing family support networks, and even learning basic medical terms to advocate for her care. Their relationship boasts enchanting highlights, such as Spinelli's impromptu karaoke performances at Charlie's Pub, where he'd croon classic tunes like Unchained Melody with a voice full of sincerity, or quiet evenings stargazing on the rooftop, sharing dreams for their kids' futures. Despite the allure of Nathan and Maxie's star-crossed history, Spinelli's selfless nature might lead him to step aside gracefully, prioritizing Maxie's happiness even if it means nursing his own broken heart in solitude, perhaps retreating to his tech lair to drown sorrows in coding marathons. Nathan undeniably occupies a sacred corner of Maxie's soul, with lingering affections that flare up in unexpected ways, like finding old love letters tucked away in a forgotten drawer. Ultimately, the battle between Maxie and Spixie feels neck and neck, a testament to the rich storytelling that keeps General Hospital thriving. As spoilers hint at more revelations, the question remains: who will emerge as the ideal match for Maxie? In this whirlwind of resurrected romance and steadfast devotion,